join later, we start asking what have they missed. So I've started the recording then. Okay, so I'm going to quickly share the community link. So this is the community link. The community link where you can see details of where you get details of future and past. More importantly, in this case, you get details of the past one. Past and future events. And after COVID-19, we'll probably be doing some physical ones too. So that's one. Then previous editions, the recording. Let me quickly grab for us that. So the previous editions, the recordings are here. So let me. Okay, so I guess that's the key things I usually do at the start. All right, so we start with, there are 3 sections to this. So section 1 is, in fact, so let me just write it the way it is going to be. So section 1 is, I'm going to do a demo of forecasts and some new tools. So let's say for demo of new tools and then forecasts in Excel. Then participants demo. So if you have anything you want to share with us, so just start thinking now. If there's anything that you find that not so many people know, or you recently came across and you feel it to be helpful for others to know, yes, you can share. And if it's a case where you are not with your Excel, you can direct me so I can share my own Excel and you say, okay, Michael, click here, click there, and like that. So that's the approach we want to take today. So let me start from new tools, right? So Microsoft has a listing for you to go check out what are the new things that have been added. So I'm going to, so you can, let me share this one first, this release information link. So this one lets you to know, depending on the update cycle you are on. So let's see, I go here. All right, you can always navigate your way to your own version. So get the update history at, okay. So this web page is where you get the update history. So for me now, I can see that on my own edition, because I am on Insider and I'm particularly on beta channel. So on the beta channel, I can see that the current edition is this. So sometimes if you want to be sure that yours is updated to the most recent for your channel or version you are on, so you go check here. And then you come to your Excel and then you go to account and you can see here if what you are seeing matches the most recent edition on that history page. So I can see I'm on 2008 13102200002. So if I go check here, voila, I can see that yes. So that's one thing that sometimes you want to check if you are not certain you're on the most recent version. Then that's that one. There's also where you go to check for new things that have been added. So that one just shows you the version history. What about the features? Okay, what's the new feature that has been added to the particular version that you are, maybe the one you are on or your previous version. So this shows you the feature listing. Okay, so that's one. And then maybe at this stage I might have to just also mute some of us manually. Okay, great. So that's the first thing I want to show. So let's start with some of the features that they are now in Excel. Let's start with the Office. So let me try to look at my my camera, and I know probably my screen is taking more of the space, but I want you to notice that I have a book in my hand. Can you see that I have a book in my hand? I don't want to stop sharing because can you see that I have a book in my hand?
We can't see you.
Great, good. So imagine that you need to copy something from a book into Excel. Are you going to scan and use this OCR to extract the text from the scan and then now paste into Excel? That's a really long process. So what about you just snapping what you want to? It works not just for Excel. I think it works also for Word and PowerPoint, something that is across the 3 product tools: Excel, Word, PowerPoint. The only difference is that it only works on Excel for Mac and Excel mobile. So let me show you how we are going to demonstrate that. So I'm going to go to my phone. So this is my phone, right? I'm going to search for Excel. So going to, I hope you can see let me see if I can put my phone on full screen. Well, it did its own kind of full screen. So I go to Excel. This, you will not have it in it's painful. I wish it is in the desktop version, but no, it's not. It's only in the desktop version for Mac. It's not in the desktop version for Windows. So can you see my screen? Can you see that? Can you see the screen of my phone?
Yes.
Great. So, pardon that my phone is in French, but don't worry, you understand. Insert is insertion. So you go to insert menu. That AQL is home menu, but under insert menu, you will see this thing called from image. This données de la image is actually from image. Like data from image. So this is the one. You will see it anyway once you are on yours and you are English speaking. So when you see it, you understand what it means. But I'm just wanting you to know that this option is only available on the phone and on the Excel for Mac. So what I do is I say, yes, I want to grab something from an image. And you can see that my camera is on. And then what do? I want to grab data from, I position it in front of my camera and I snap it. So it works for tabular data. So it's like you didn't get the entire table for me, but if you are used to scanning stuff with your phone, you'll be familiar with this experience of having to manually expand the capture area. So I think this is cool. So I'm going to confirm.
Mike, sorry.
There
is somebody that is not muted and his background noise is overriding yours.
Oh, okay. Please let's all mute her. So let me see if I can do an admin general wide mute. Zoom is very good with that stuff. It lets. Okay, I think. Okay, great. I think everybody's muted now. Then thank you for being very understanding and like. Okay, great. So you see that it's showing me the preview. That am I okay with what it has done, or do I want to recapture? I would say yeah, I'm okay. Open it in Excel. That ovary is like open. So I do open it in Excel. And voila, now it's in Excel, right? And the cool thing, even though I'm doing this from my phone, because when you're using Excel on your phone, it's actually as if you're using Excel online. There's that collaboration tool there already. So which means that I can, you see this share icon, huh? This stuff, it means share, huh? So I can share it with I can use to grab the link anyway. So I can click on it, and I can grab the link that I can now go and open on my computer. So I can copy the link, right? And then I can go on my computer and I go and open it. Where's I think I've done that already anyway. So this is it. And voila, I have it. So this can be really useful for when you have stuff on paper and you need to bring them into Excel, and not just Excel, even Word. Like this kind of data that I might even prefer this in Word since this is not really like numeric data that I want to analyze. So that's one cool thing that, it's been helping me. I'm doing one online master's program, and there's some aspect of it that involves calculation, and I'll just screenshot the PDF file, or sometimes on the web, and it's too much of a struggle to be trying to be copying and pasting from PDF sometimes and adjusting. I just use this approach and boom, I'm done. I can start typing my formula, okay, equal to this times that. So that's one. I'm going to go to another thing that I want to show. Any question about this before I move on to another thing? Okay, so nobody has a question. Just remember, it's only on Mac.
Please, I have a question.
On the mobile version. Okay, yeah, someone says he has a question.
So how do you get your phone connected to your system?
Okay, so actually Samsung has an app called Samsung Flow. Samsung Flow. So it allows me to, it has this thing called Smart View. So once I click on Smart View, it mirrors my phone screen. I can even control the phone. I can start clicking on this place and my phone work. I can swipe. I can so it can be very good for this kind of demonstration. So that's what I'm using. It's a Samsung app. Though Windows too has theirs, but it's buggy kind of. The Windows one is supposed to work for all Android phone, but copy and paste works better with this Windows one. Like I have copied something on my phone, I want to paste on my computer. Awesome, this Windows one work for that, which is called link your phone. If you just type link your phone in Windows, link phone or something, you can link your phone, and I think it works on all kinds of phone, be it Android or iPhone. But for this one that shows my screen, it's this Samsung Flow that I found to be much more fluid for that. Okay, so I move on to another thing I want to show us. So if you, depending on the update cycle you are on, so Microsoft now has 3 update cycles. Let me see if I can show you very well. I think I still have that. I say update 3. Should I say update category? That's a better word to use. And let me just pull it up here. Maybe it's now more than. Actually, there are 3. So there's the okay. Let's not say 3. Let me just explain as you can see it, because it's a lot more broken down the way it's explained here. So this makes life a lot easier for you. And so just think about it this way. Or should I say, yeah, this way. So current channel is where you will be if you bought Microsoft Office yourself. So it's not like your company bought it and IT apportioned you a license, or the company one. So this is where you will naturally be. But then if you are on your company's license, you can be here, which is the equivalent of this. You can be on semi-annual, which what that means is instead of monthly. So the current and these ones are monthly, you get pushed new updates. So instead of monthly, there will be a 6 months delay. So what we on monthly channel are getting, it will come to you 6 months after. So there's always that 6 months gap before you get what these other 2 people will get. Okay, good. And now for all of us, whether you are on the current, which is you bought it yourself, it's not a company license, or you're on company license and monthly, and you're on company you're on company license and your IT has set it to be, every 6 months delay before you get the updates that has come to monthly people. You can also, depending on, okay, great. So that one is settled. Then if I'm on current, I bought it myself, and I don't want to wait until, it becomes general available. That's what we call it, GA. I don't want to wait. I'm okay with getting something that Microsoft is not yet wanting to make generally available. I can be on the Insider program. So Insider program, there are 2 versions. So you can be on the current channel, which is like, okay, I'm careful. I don't want to have things that will break my computer, but I also want to be in on what's going to be released soon. Then this one. But okay, I'm okay. I want to be at the front end. I want to see things as quickly as Microsoft is making plans around them. So in Microsoft's agenda, there are like three circles. So inner is Microsoft staff. So there are some things that the new versions only Microsoft people have it. Then there's now this beta. So the closest we as non-Microsoft staff can have to what is new is to be on the beta channel. Then there's the current preview. So there's the current preview, which is now, okay, I don't want things that will break my Office installation, but still I want to be in on what is not yet generally available. So every other person is outside of here then. So it's now left whether when you're outside, your own outside is on current or monthly enterprise or semi-annual enterprise. So great. Now that I've established that, the way you will know which one you are on is if you come here and you check. So I'm on beta channel. So if you check yours, you'll find out where you are. Right. So based on that, I want to quickly show us what Microsoft has been adding. That is, so let's go to insert. Under insert, if you go to pivot table, so if you are on, remember I've told you that there are different levels of the beta channel. So I mean of the insider channel. But if you are on the insider channel, you can see this. You may or may not, but only those on the insider will see this. Now depends on which plan of the insider you are on. So this is, you can, the same way we can connect to data, you can build a pivot table directly from your data on Excel sheet, right? You can also build a pivot table directly from data sets in Power BI. So you already have some reports in Power BI and you want to do analysis right now on one of them, and you want to connect pivot table to it, you can just instantly click on this and then that becomes possible. Okay, so that's one. And most of the other things here are things that already have been. So let me just focus on what's what's really new. So I go to data. So in the data menu, I also have some new things, and more importantly, I have again that one I showed us, but now not that I want to connect to pivot table. I want to bring in data that I already have in Power BI. I want to bring in directly into Excel. Okay, so I can do this. So it's one of the new things they've added. And then also, I don't know if you can see my screen, this part of it. So this is another thing that Microsoft is really working hard on, and they will keep adding more. It's just that I'm not allowed due to NDA to talk about some things that they've shown us based on the MVP cycle. But there are some other things that are going to be added to this. This organization is just this month they added that, and there's something else they will add again. That so now what these things mean is, as you can see, data types. They are kind of like compound data types, meaning that. So let me just give an example. Something that like an object kind of data type. Let me use that word. So unfortunately, this will not work for Nigerian stocks, but it works for foreign stocks, especially stocks of companies in developed country. So now, if anything that you give of this data type allows you to be able to pick things about them, so which means that this is still pulling kind of, okay, great. So it means that this has different components to it, equal to this and Okay, I have to pick one of them. So I'm just going to say you should pick this one. All right, so that it will complete the resolution for me. Great. So it has completed the is it resolution, I will call it. Okay, great. So you see that this is what I mean by they are like compound data types or like objects, kind of, you know. So this is like a company that has all this information that I can pick. I can say I want to extract what is the, you know, 52-week high. And what you saw me trying to type the other time, I can go here and say this, and you see I can pick whatever I want from it also, right? So get me the employee, and so even when you change this, it can extract those information. So this is like an object that now also has extractable features, you know. I don't want to use the word methods, but you get the whole concept. So you now have something that is more than just a value kind of in a cell that you can extract what you want. And it's the same concept for organization. Organization is not working on mine very well. I try to demo it, but the concept is if it's able to, the companies that I've set up like my own, which is where my account is domiciled. So you see this is domiciled under my company account. I can be able to pull all of us in the company, the staff, every information that is available to everybody generally. You know, the same way you go to your Outlook and you can search for other of your colleagues in the company and search and get their phone number, their location, their job role. So those kind of information I can pull even directly into Excel. And geography, similar too. If you type somewhere there is a location, if I type Nigeria, let's see how that will work for, and I do this, and then it will try and get me information about Nigeria. Okay, Nigeria, what's our, let's see if there's population there. What's our population? Voila. And you know, all those kind of information, and I can, so it's just left for you to think of how you can use it, but that's some of the new things that there now are in Excel. Okay, then if I go to view menu, so you see there's this thing called sheet view, which at first I didn't really know how to use it, or like the usefulness of it, until I saw a demonstration that it kind of made sense. So but it's good only for collaborative work, you know, so you can save multiple views of the same thing. Let me just try and open up a file, a practice file that has good enough data to demonstrate it. So I'm going to open this. Okay. All right. So good. If I throw in a filter into this, so under this view, right? So if I say let me do screen, let me do zoom so it won't be difficult for you to see my screen. So I can say that, all right, I want to create a view for Midza. Midza, I do a filter, so only Midza's records, and then I can, so you, right now it's not showing at all, but if I am in that, if I enable where I can, so let me make it a collaborative file. So that's why I say it was a bit tricky for me to figure out where to, it's taking time, it's trying to connect me to my account. Okay, great. So you see now that it becomes clickable, right? So I can decide that I want to save this as a view. So I want to create a new view, right? And you see the color changes. When you do ordinary filter, it's blue. Not same background, but font color is blue. But now it does a black background, then I think this is, I don't know if this is blue or green. Well, light blue, looks like blue. I'm not good with color. So I can rename it to whatever I want. Exit guide. Okay, great. So I can keep this, right? And then so now I have multiple, I have views. In fact, I can decide to rename the view. Can rename this view to Midza. Okay. All right. So good. Oh. And then I can do another one. I can create another view and say, okay, maybe I'm only interested in products that we sold. So let me just get out of this, back to default, and say that all products but that were sold after 9 a.m. And then this also I want to create as a new view. So I'm going to say after 9 a.m. view. And I save it. So the whole essence is that I can toggle, I can jump between views, I can switch between views. So again, I'm still wrapping my head around where this can be really of use, but then that demo I watched, it works nicely for files that people are collaborating with. You know, like Google Sheets, where definitely anything there is collaborated on by multiple people. So if you are using Excel in that kind of a scenario where you are using it to collaborate, maybe people entering in the same thing or working the same, so you can create views so that you are working in your own view, the other person can be working on another view, and you guys are not having to, you don't have to see the same thing at the same time. Or anybody have an idea of where it can be useful? Because like I said, this is supposed to be interactive. So I just show you what may I feel new, and then if you have an idea around how it's supposed to be used in a practical way, please do share. All right, so that's this one. I'm going to exit the views, and there are other things too that has been done. Though now this is a bit old, but it never fails to wow people when I mention it. So I guess I can still just show us. So you know, in Excel, we used to have formulas that you would do Control plus Shift plus Enter for, and we used to call them array formulas. Well, right now, you no longer, Excel is now array aware by default, which means that you no longer need to do any special thing to make array formulas execute. And in fact, there are now some formulas that they are built on top of that new behavior of Excel. So they are called dynamic array formulas. So today, I just want to merge it with something interesting. And then, so imagine that I want to get count or quantity of Midza and which other products of Midza, and which one is faster to spell? Let me just use Italiano. Okay. So if we use some if, and as usual, I specify the range. So go check in here where my products are, and the criteria. So I'm saying, you know what, the criteria I want is, okay, I want to type it faster. Anyway, I will tell us how we'll do that faster anyway. So for now, let me just pick the Midza from here. And I say that the quantity to add up is here. Okay, so this gets me for Midza, but like I said, I want both Midza and Italiano. Okay, so one approach we can do is I can get these two in a kind of a list. So if you press F9 on Excel, boom, you know, it writes it out for me in this form. I can take it out and go and plug that in here. So I can still leave it linked, but I just felt, let me just show us that approach to that. You know, so this lets you to provide like an array, literal array of values. Okay, so once I do this, let me just drag this away. So once I do this, you see what happens. You see what happens, right? If you are using the old Excel, this will have just shown you only one answer. It will not spill. So what we used to do is now we wrap it inside sum. So you'll be like, it should sum the figure to give you what the final answer is, which will be in one cell. Now, in the previous, before this dynamic array behavior, you will have to do Ctrl-Shift-Enter for this formula to work. Okay, so now you don't have to do Ctrl-Shift-Enter anymore. So again, like I said, this is not that new, but then there are formulas that make use of it, which I'm not going to flog again in this demonstration. So there is unique, there's sort, there's filter, there's sort by, I think about 6 of them. There's, let me see, is there filter by? Which ones are the ones I'm missing? I think there are like about 6 of them. Huh?
Round array and sequence.
Okay, so sequence and round array. Okay, so you can always, anybody who wants to demo any of them, we have time for that also too. So the second category of things I plan to show us, which in the next 6 or say 10 minutes max, I show us, and then the floor becomes yours. Let me just check if anybody has asked any questions yet. Okay. Okay, so no questions yet then. All right. So forecast. So this is something that I recently find that a lot more people are interested in, and I guess it's because of all of this new stuff around big data, forecasting, and all these amazing new things that people are beginning to check about. So it's now beginning to also trickle down to those of us that use Excel, where you find out that your manager start asking you about, we should be able to do forecasts, and not forecasts that some people will just sit in some places and just throw figures back at you and say, this is the plan for next month, or, once that there's a technical underlining, there's an algorithm behind. So I'm going to quickly walk you through the new kind of forecast. When I say new, it's not really that new. It's about 3 years old in Excel already, but for some of us who don't before now had to worry about it, and now you have to worry about it, it's good you are aware. So let's start with the one that Microsoft already has inbuilt for us. So if I want to do sales forecasts, things that are like time-based, so we call them time series. So it could be sales, it could be inventory forecast, it could be anything that is time-based anyway. So you select the historical data that you have, and let me just zoom my screen, and you go to data menu. You're going to see forecast sheets. All right. So in this forecast sheet, you have that time series kind of tool already there. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to be able to say, I want to forecast for the next couple of months, say 1 month into the future. So it allows me to specify how far into the future I want to go. I can say I want to go, this data actually ends in, let's see where it ends. Let me just close this for you. So we can go verify where it ends. So this ends in, let me just delete this anyway. We can always put this one back. So this ends in March 27, okay? So if I go here, forecast sheet, I can say I want to go exactly 1 month into the future, or I want to go 2 weeks or 3 weeks into the future. So this is going like half a month into the future. Just to let you know, I can go 1 month, so we can stop at exactly April 27. Okay, so if you do that, you will notice that it's done a preview of what you will get, right? But then if you want to see how it is coming up with that preview. You want to see the assumptions or the default settings that are applied to give you this. You can expand the options. And when you expand the options, you will see that it's doing confidence interval. So there's confidence interval, which you can adjust. There's seasonality. Okay, which you can adjust. There's what do you want to do to missing values. And then there are two other things that based on what you selected. So this one is always inferred from your selection. So if I'm going to number them, this is like 4 components: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Confidence interval, seasonality, is there a particular time of the year or of the months that you get spikes? So it's common in most consumer-facing activities. So like sales, you typically will not sell equal volume every month. So like for us in training now, we get a lot more training towards the end of year because some companies want to make sure they've sent all the training plan, they finish it before that next year. And then January, start of the year, is usually slow. So if everybody's business always have some of those dynamic things. And if you're in inventory, we have things that can equate seasonality in yours. And then at time, this one is straightforward. What are the actual data that is using to come up with the forecasting, the training data set kind of. Then what should happen to missing values? Should we do interpolation, which is what it's doing? And interpolation, when it's a mixture of some, if you have duplicates to average anyway. So duplicate means 2 date time. So if they have 2 dates to find the average. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click create. Then we'll now go to how all of these have led to new functions that if you have not checked in Excel, you will not know they are there. So it has done the chart. I'm going to cut this and paste it here so that I can zoom and we can see the result, side by side. Okay, so something was showing you that time. Okay, great. It has forecasted based on the historical what the sales will be, what the upper and low, well, the lower and the upper bound will be based on the 95% confidence interval. So what are the kind of things powering this? Okay, so let's see. The same thing. Now let's do manually. So I say I want to do this up to 27th of April. So I've extended the date. The formula is forecast exponential time series. Can you see my screen? So many of us have not bothered to check about all these formulas, but they are there. So I can, if I even click on this to check out the help, you will see the explanation of what it does, and you will begin to notice the 4 things that I circled in that other place. There was the, let's start, I said there was seasonality. Then there was the place where the values that we select. This is that one, the values and timeline. So this is like number 3 in that place I highlighted. And then there are other things too. What should happen to the data if you're missing data and blah blah. So this was like number 4 in that place. So this was like number 4 in that forecast table that I showed us, where I said it will do interpolation. Let's look for it. If there is missing data, it will interpolate. Okay, they didn't write it, but they wrote it here as automatically adjust. Then here you saw average, so you can see the default is average. So when there are duplicate data, to do average. Well, anyway, there is just one other one, which is the confidence interval. Let's see where that is hiding here. Okay, so it's separated out as a different formula anyway. So let us use this to do our forecast. The advantage of this is that it will not have to always generate a new sheet. you can be much more, when you do some stuff with formula, you get some flexibility in terms of dynamic nature of how your formula computes as your data changes. Okay, so forecast ETS, which stands for exponential smoothing. Okay, so and this one is even the exponential smoothing that factors in seasonality, trend, and the error factor. So this like triple exponential smoothing, not the simple exponential. There's the simple one that when you go to data analysis, you always have this simple exponential smoothing here. Let's look for exponential smoothing. So the one you get here is the simple one. It doesn't factor for seasonality. Let me just open it. You see the options here doesn't allow you to specify seasonality. So this is a much more advanced version of that. All right, so to wrap it up, forecast.ets, I want to forecast for this date. So that's the target date. Let me use FX so that maybe it will be easier for you to. So that's my target date, right? And then what are the values? So the historical values that I have are this. And then the timeline I have are this. So this is like the historical timeline. Okay. And then seasonality, you can, if you don't put anything here, it's going to auto detect. So if you know for certain the seasonality period in your data, you can put it in. And if you don't know for certain, you can let the engine detect that. And so then there's data completion, you know, what should happen? Do you want to, when they are missing data, do you want it to put a dummy data there, or do you, whatever you want? So all these ones are optional. If you don't put anything there, it will automatically take care of those of these three. So I'm not going to worry about them. And I'm going to tell it to use this format here. And so that's it. So I can always drag this down if I want, you know, and let it use those historical. So this begins to use like even the forecast, it ingests it into the forecast for the next period. So it becomes a kind of like a moving, I don't want to say moving average, but where your past fits into also the future. The forecasted past fits into the new forecast you want to make. So you want to be careful because every error gets further compounded, like repeated. And then that's that. So what about all the other things? You want to know what the confidence interval is, right? So if you want to know what the confidence interval is, forecast confidence interval. So this is like plus or minus what value. So the same way where if you're in QA/QC, quality assurance, quality control, where they could be like, okay, this thing is always going to be like 100 ml or 1 liter, but plus or minus 10 cl. So like that's the plus or minus, the confidence interval, the bound. So again, you see that there's that formula that captures that component for this target data. Similar kind of figures it's expecting for value for. And then for the confidence level, what do you want? So it's always a percentage figure typically. But anyway, 0 and 1. It can't be less than 0, it can be more than 1. And then maybe you want a 90% confidence interval. So 90%. Seasonality, if you don't put it, we detect. So I'm not going to worry about that. And I do okay. And then it's going to tell me, you know, what the figures are going to be, plus or minus this. So let me just let this show in Naira so that this is really high. So our forecast is not a very reassuring one because it can be like plus or minus this amount. This is really high. But you get the whole concept. So I'm not going to depend on this forecast because this is this is not so this is the perspective this puts to your analysis. So as I've shown you for confidence interval, There are other ones which I will just I will just pick on them. I will not demonstrate. So you have the one that captures the seasonality to help you know what seasonality exists in yours. The one where you can use to get the statistics, you know, what's the root mean square error, what's the beta, what's the alpha. You know, that's why I say this thing is actually a triple exponential smoothing. So triple means it has alpha, it has beta, it has gamma. So anyway, that's much more for those into statistics. But the key aspect is you can extract all of those things out of it. So Excel has been trying to add things that people in other spaces like to do with other tools. Okay, so that's the end. I was originally planning to demonstrate how you can do Monte Carlo simulation on all of these things, where you can just be like, okay, norm inverse. If you know that your distribution has a normal distribution, which is very common in real life, most figures, most natural observations follow a normal, even if not completely, but they can be approximated to normal distribution, especially things like this that are. So anyway, you could have binomial too, you could have other, but this is much more common for things like sales data, population type data. So I could say, okay, 5% probability, and my mean is this. This is what the forecast figure is coming up with. And then I can say, okay, what standard deviation, you typically want to calculate to come up with this, but let me just plug in a figure and say, okay, we are like 20,000, you know, standard deviation. It can be up or down or up 20,000. And then with this, I can get a distribution of what my sales will be for different probability figure. And if you do this for all of the forecasts, why is it showing now? Okay, that's understandable. So this allows you to say, okay, you know, there's a 50% chance. This is what the figure will come to. There's a 30% chance. But now this is more of cumulative kind of. So those in that space knows how to use these when they do the computation anyway. I just wanted to demonstrate how we can extract out this. Okay, and that's all I had planned originally. Any question? Anybody wants to share anything that you feel can benefit everybody? Hello?
Yes, I have
very
a question.
Silent. Okay, yeah.
I dropped my question in the chat box.
You've already typed it in the chat box. Is that what you said?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, how do we use the new MS Excel feature of linking the bank statement to an Excel sheet? First of all, forget about our Nigerian banks. It will not work for our Nigerian banks. But I think, well, except if what you are saying is different from what I am thinking. So I've been hearing about some background conversations, Microsoft side and some people side, that they are trying to add the same way you saw me connect to, like I could type a company and, you know, you go here, you go to this, where was it? Yeah, it was under here. And I picked stocks and tries to figure out that also too, you can bring in your bank statement, kind of like have access through your bank APIs to connect to your bank. So I don't now know if it's going to come in this format or it's going to come as one of the options you will get in Get Data. But they are talking about bringing that in, and or they will control it such that you connect to your own data. I guess it will be embedded in it. But the key thing I know is that it will not work for Nigerian banks, because even I use QuickBooks. QuickBooks already lets you connect to your bank statement. Some people use this app for personal finance, Mint, and there are some many others of those kind of apps. They let you connect to your bank statement such that you connect to your bank, not even bank, you connect to your bank, and automatically as you are spending, and it's already capturing the data into your personal budgeting sheet, and it's already classifying your sales, your expenses. So the problem is our Nigerian banks don't yet have these common data sharing where you can connect and share data. So the only one we have is the closest, just that BVN one where and the one where you can locate which account number and whose name is. But anything beyond that, there's no common data sharing yet about it. So I don't see that happening for our own Nigerian banks. I guess it's just for those foreign banks that feature will be applicable. Okay. Any other contribution, question? Anybody has something he wants to share? Because again, some of us have stuffs. So Yusuf says, I created a document in Excel which was 22 megabytes. Is there a way I can reduce the file to less than 1 megabyte? Anybody has answer for him? Mr. Victor, are you still in? I'm sure you will have an answer that can be applicable for this person, kind of, or something he could do.
I'm in.
Okay. So he's saying he has a file that is 22 megabytes, and he's thinking of how he wants to reduce it. Though I don't know why he wants to reduce it to 1 megabyte, but let's just say, how can you reduce it?
So, well, maybe the first thing I would sheets of data, and on the sheets, how many rows of data they have, So, but one thing that definitely contributes a lot to file size is formatting. What raw data without any formatting is pretty much, light. One thing I see that people do a lot most times is maybe if there's a row or if there's a column that has maybe some data they want to highlight the whole column. When you highlight the whole column, change the color to yellow. That's like 1 million cells with a yellow formatting that you really don't need. So I've seen a file like that, which was one of them I was able to retrieve, and it was really just formatting. The person just highlighted a couple of columns, painted them, and that was it's really a case of having a lot of data. Well, 22 meg is the best size because it will impact on the functionality calculation. So maybe I would say, if I don't have so much detail now, I'm just giving it a general, formatting would be something. Of course, if you save the file also, save it as .xls, which is a binary file. The binary file is XLSL. That's one way to. So you can try one of those two things first.
Okay.
I hope it helps.
Great, thank you. So Yusuf, I hope you heard, though at some point I think you were breaking, but most of what you said were very clear. So yes, did you hear the answer?
I want to help the guy. So the source of his data is it downloaded from a software? If it's downloaded from a software, he needs to delete the empty Excel. Just need to highlight all the empty Excel on the rows and columns and delete. That will reduce the size as well. So let's, for example, we download from a save or from a QuickBook or from all this, any app. If you download Excel from any app, the data that was space that the item there are invisible. So you need to delete those empty rows and the file size will reduce.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So,
okay,
Yusuf, are you still there?
I'll work on that. Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Okay. You got all what they said. Okay. Great. So that and anybody also has something else? There was one thing that I came across that some of you might already know, but for me it was like I never thought about it in this dimension. So we all have, this is one problem that many people keep complaining about, the fact that maybe they have dates that have been entered in ways that is messing up with Excel's memory. So you have a situation around you have dates that are like 1/2/2020, and let me just, and the thing is, this date, maybe the person who typed it meant it to be like this should have been 1st of February, this should have been like 1st of March, but because, well, the person wasn't aware of the fact that what he has typed, because of the computer he's using, is in month before day. So all what he's typing is being interpreted differently. Okay, so what I mean is this: if I copy this and I go to dates and I do long dates, you will see that all these are like January 2, 3, 4, like the month is just January, whereas that's not what the person had in mind. So before now, what I used to do is I will say the person should go to insert, go to data, go to from table or range, and then go to Power Query, which brings up Power Query anyway. And then it will change the locale. So let me, okay. Okay, so it brings up Power Query. Let me try and zoom my Power Query. Zoom. Okay, great. So this looks zoomed enough. Let me zoom it more. Okay, so I'll say, okay, you know what, why not go here, change the locale, and choose the one that will mirror that pattern you want. So if he goes there, change the locale to come up. So dates, but the dates should follow which country uses that kind of locale. I think UK, Australia, anyone I see first, I'm going to pick. English. Yeah, so I think Australia uses that type. Yeah, so you can see how I know anyway. It does a sample, and I can see that is definitely day before month. So if I do this, okay, so I do that, I bring it back into Excel. So typically that's one way. I hope that worked fine. But then let me show you one other nice way that so if you just data text to column, and you go here, and we really don't care about all these ones. What we care about is date and here. So you can instantly just specify that, you know what, this date that you're looking at, I want it to be, take it as is day month year, not month day year. Okay, so those are just let me just put it, I hope it works fine. And it will, you see, it swaps it. So this can be really cool for when the thing is already done and you just want to, you don't want to retype it. So I found out that some people already know that, but for me, it was something that I was always using a longer route to solve. Okay, so at this juncture, I don't have any more things. Only if you have anything to share, let me look for people to call out that. I'll just ask if they have anything they want to share with us. Mr. Victor, anything you want to share with us? Who are some people? Ambassador Tunde, anything you want to share with us? I think that's our. I think I know the person. Who else do I know? Aha, Mr. Mojola, you're here. Join. Anything you want to share with us? You know, any trick you've found out that a lot of people are not aware of and kind of simple, and you just felt you can mention it? Because I think we have like 5 minutes for that. Okay, so if you have nothing, that means we'll end the training now. We'll end the session now. Okay. All right then. So the only thing I will mention is the fact that again, we'll have this next week, and the concept is I try to pick 2 things and share. The 2 things can be new things in my own perspective, or can be things that I found that people ask questions around, and I just share them, and then we answer questions people have, and okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Is there a way you can share the video for some of us who didn't connect? Yes, we'll share the recording. And for you to be able to get the recording, make sure that you are here, you are in this community here. I'm going to share the joining link because that is easier for me to just send to everybody there. So to get the recording, be a part of this, and when I email out the recording and other things, you will get that. So thank you very much. If you have any suggestion of what you would like us to cover, you can always reply the email I send out and say, okay, this is what you will like us to cover in the next session. So we'll be oscillating between these and having a guest. And if you, okay. What's his name? Yusuf, are you still here? So he's asking, Victor is asking how many rows are in that your sheet that has 22 megabytes?
Okay, there are some sheets that have more than 1,000 rows.
Okay, sometimes it's not, I don't know, the sheet can be that big in size without it having meaning that it has problem. What about columns? How many columns do you have there?
Some up to like 15 and some like 20.
So you say some columns have up to 50, like some sheets have up to 50 columns. 22 sheets.
Yes.
Okay, maybe that size is the normal size for that file. 22 sheets, more than 1,000 rows and 50 columns. Okay, I think, Victor, anything you have in mind for him? Because I'm guessing maybe there are some ideas you are thinking of that made you ask those questions. Okay, so if nothing else, we wrap it up here. Also, we are open to having people volunteer to share. So if you have things you want to share, you know, you can let us know ahead, and then we can agree on how many minutes you need. So that's the advantage of this new approach, where anybody can become a presenter. So you can share anything. And the benefit for you is it gives you visibility. When I say visibility, this recording and all of these emails I will send after, you know, if you had been one of the people that shared, definitely we'll share the recording, we'll put your profile, how people can connect with you, and also more importantly, it helps you, sharing helps you to know what you know better anyway. So thank you very much, and I hope to see us all again next week, and other people that are watching the recording, I hope to see you next week. So we draw the curtain here. Thank you very much. Have a nice Sunday. And bye-bye. Stop the recording.